Hello and welcome to Financial Accounting. My name is Professor Malorani. I'm located here in the Boston campus. My office is in White 327. I've been at MCPHS University for 5 years, and in addition to teaching accounting, operations management, and economics, I'm also the director of the Healthcare and Pharmaceutical Business Program. If you're here on campus, feel free to stop by my office. I'm here every day, and my office is White 327. In the alternative, feel free to email me or give me a call on my office phone, both of which are posted on the syllabus. So as we begin our journey in financial accounting, the first thing I want to dispel is the notion that financial accounting is something that you should be intimidated by. Actually, financial accounting, I think you'll find to be relatively straightforward, and I hope you'll find it interesting and useful to your academic and professional pursuits as you move forward. We're going to have a process where we go through the key aspects of the things that I think are important to you as undergraduate students. So I know some of you are in the business program, and others of you are minoring in business. And so you may be pursuing a PharmD or a nursing degree or a dental hygienist program. But I think what you'll find is that accounting applies to all organizations. And what we're going to focus on during this 15 weeks is for you to understand the most important parts of things related to accounting. So you're not going to be becoming an accounting professional after this class, but I'm hopeful that by the end of this class, you'll be able to find, read, and understand financial statements of any type of organization, because all organizations, whether they're nonprofit or for-profit, have financial statements. And they're very important to everybody who is a stakeholder in the organization. So you'll be a stakeholder in an organization that you go to work for. You'll be there, a stakeholder as an employee. You may also be a stakeholder as an owner or a stockholder. So today you're a stakeholder of MCPHS University. And whether you know it or not, we also have financial statements, which, by the way, we can take a look at, and we will during the course of the semester. There's a special classification called 990s, and that's what nonprofit groups like MCPH University are required by the Internal Revenue Service to file and make available to the public. So we can take a look at our own university's financial statements a little bit later in the semester. But for now, let's talk about what to expect this semester. So the first thing I think you want to know is, why are you here? Why are you taking this course? And I believe that everybody who works in an organization as a professional, a manager, a key stakeholder, should know about the financial statements of the organization that he or she works for. Because every business is evaluated, and every organization, for-profit, non-profit, is evaluated based on their financial results. Even non-profit organizations have to be financially accountable. They have to bring in enough revenue to cover their expenses so they can continue to stay afloat. So we're here so that you, as a future professional, can become comfortable finding the financial statements of an organization, reading them, assessing them, and then acting appropriately. So what can you expect to learn in this class? So let me tell you what the major learning outcomes that I have for you. Number one is I'd like you to be able to understand the relevance and importance of accounting and financial statements to all organizations. So many of you will go to work for nonprofit healthcare organizations. You might go to work for a hospital, a clinic. Others of you will go to work for for-profit companies, many of you in the pharmaceutical industries. But no matter what type of organization you go to work for, they're going to have an accounting department, and they're going to have financial statements. And as an employee, maybe an investor in that company, future stockholder of a company, you'll want to know what the financial results are. You don't want to join an organization that is always struggling financially because they're not going to have the resources to do the things that they'd like to do, including paying you a decent salary and so forth. So we want to understand how accounting really is one of the key measurements of all organizations. And then what we want to do is have you develop the ability to be able to find the financial statements, to read them, and then to make some assessments. So we're not expecting you to be an expert at the end of a 15-week course. So this is an introductory level course. We'll give you a base foundation of knowledge. Some of you may decide that you really like accounting and finance. And if you do, there are some other courses that we offer here at MCPHS University. We offer managerial accounting. We offer healthcare finance. And so those can enhance your understanding of financial matters. But if you're really serious about being in the accounting and financial world, then you'll probably want to pursue a master's degree in accounting or an MBA with a concentration in accounting or finance or something of that nature. So we're not expecting anybody to be an expert, but we are expecting you to be able to do some basic things, which I know will be beneficial to you both personally and professionally. So let me talk about the things we're going to cover during our 15-week journey. So I'm going to start by talking about the types of organizations and forms of ownerships. And I'll go through a brief lecture on that after we go through this introduction. But there are many types of organizations and forms of ownerships, and you should become familiar with those. The other thing that we've decided to put into this course is to ensure that everybody has a basic understanding of Excel. So I'll talk a little bit about Excel, and then many of the assignments that you have this semester, you'll be asked to use Excel to submit them. And this is important because we want everybody who leaves the business program or who enters the workforce to have an understanding of how to use Excel. There are some things that are, I'll call them industry standard. And the Microsoft Office suite, Word, PowerPoint, and Excel are things that most organizations use. And so there's an expectation as a college graduate from any program that you can understand those things at the basic level. And fortunately, there's lots of free courses out there on the Microsoft Office. So I'm not going to again make you an expert in Excel, but you will have exposure to the basics. So I know that some of you, and perhaps many of you, already know how to use Excel, in which case this will just be a refresher. But for those of you who have never used Excel, you will get the opportunity in this course to understand it and hopefully to develop a basic understanding and use of that very important tool. Then we'll have you create some financial statements, and you might say, what the heck is a financial statement and how could I possibly create one? Well, the first couple of exercises we have will be very simple. I'm going to have you create your own personal financial statement. Okay, so you may or may not be surprised that you actually can create your own personal financial statement. And then we'll do some exercises probably during week 2 where we have some very simple business scenarios, and I'll ask you to create a income statement, financial statements for a very simple business proposal. Okay, so, and that will just kind of give you a flavor as to the simplicity of the financial statements, if you will. They will get a little more complicated after that, because when we start to access financial statements of publicly traded companies or nonprofit organizations, they'll get a little more complicated, a little more nuanced, and we'll cover that in depth throughout the semester. Again, we're not expecting you to be an expert, but we are expecting you to have a solid understanding of what these things are saying. And so we want to make sure you'll be able to understand and read those financial statements. And then there are some things that go along with financial statements, particularly for publicly traded entities. So publicly traded entities are those companies that you see in the news all the time. They're the companies like Apple and Intel and Google and Facebook, etc., that people talk about their stock price and how expensive their stock prices are, or what happened to their stock price today. They're publicly traded means that they sell stock, which anybody, including you and I, could buy. And if we buy that stock, we become an owner of the company. Not a significant owner, but a part owner. So we'll look at some of the reports that go along with the financial statements. And we'll come to know these things as the management discussion analysis, the footnotes, and then we'll look at something called the earnings call. So all of these things are, again, pretty straightforward, and I think you'll, once we delve into them, you'll see that they actually have some interesting components to them. Now, one of the important things in the financial world is that we want to make sure that when somebody publishes financial statements, that they're done with a set of rules and that they're done in a ethical and professional manner. So we do have rules and we have checks and balances in place. And we'll look at what those rules and checks and balances are to ensure that the financial statements have integrity. It's important because so many people rely upon financial statements. So employees rely upon them. People who buy the stocks of company, we call them investors, they rely upon them. And also people who loan, or institutions that loan money to companies, they're called creditors. Everybody relies upon the integrity of the financial statement. So we need a check and balance in place to ensure that the reports that management puts out are actually done in accordance with rules, and they're done with a high degree of ethical and professionalism. And then we'll look at the introduction, then we'll introduce the idea of analyzing financial results.